Van Leeuwen may have reshaped trade dress.
And how did Beef Puffs raise over 1.1 million?
We're seeing Final Boss Sours. Gummies are now doing $4 million in raise.
IM8 raised over $1 billion. How'd they do it?
Let's get into it.
Welcome back, campers.
We're back for episode 7 of CPG Camp. I'm Jacob with Bite and Brownies.
And I'm Jack with Bite and Brownies as well.
And we're missing our co-host Damiano with Lupini in very authentic Italian fashion. He's actually in Sicily right now. All right, so let's start Van Leeuwen. I think this is a story that's going to shake up CPG.
Yeah, I'm excited.
And Jack, I don't know how much. I know we saw the headline this morning. I've been digging deep into this because I went to law school and I love like trademark law, stuff like that. It's boring. Yeah. Super boring, but interesting.
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your sense of what's going on here?
Yeah, so you told me you read up, and then I'm excited to listen about that. And so what I have heard so far is that basically they copied a similar ice cream brand, the packaging. It was kind of copying how Van Leeuwen looked, and Van Leeuwen just won a bunch of money, like 24 million or whatever it is, $23.8 million. So I don't really know. It kind of looks pretty similar to me, but honestly, like, not exactly. I'm not sure. Obviously, they won the case, so I guess it was true. But I'd love to hear from you, like, what actually happened.
Yeah. So first, you know trademarks, right? Like we have trademark for our thing. Do you know what trade dress is?
I don't really, but it sounds like you're putting on a dress or something like that, right?
Not quite. I mean, in a way, it kind of is.
Dressing it up.
Yeah, so I mean, trade dress is, as a name is to a trademark, like the packaging and the imagery is to trade dress. It can fall in two camps. You can either have patents, which is a utility patent, meaning like, oh, your bottle looks kind of funny, but that's because of part of the function, the design. That can have some protections, but there's some limits. But when it's just, it's a pint of ice cream, then it's just the imagery, the colors, all of that makes up the trade dress of the product. So it is something protected. You can do extra protections too. But by and large, it lives in this kind of like weird quasi space. It's not quite a trademark thing. It's not quite a patent thing. It's just kind of like, it looks like that.
Yeah. So tell me some of the stats. Like, how long was this case going on for?
So
some
this
of the juicy
case,
stuff.
5 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
I mean, that is a big payday for 5 years. But boy, time goes by. Van Leeuwen launched this in 2021.
Which like the lawsuit or the ice cream?
The lawsuit.
Okay, wow.
So Van Leeuwen actually launched their CPG product back in 2016. And I don't know exactly when Rebel hit market, but I think it was around 2019, 2020-ish. I didn't actually get to look into that much. But I mean, looking at the package right away, what do you think is the difference here?
I mean, the main difference is the 7G, I would say, on the Rebel, right? Like, yep. It's very big and bold. You can't miss it. So is that protein or I don't even know?
It's carbs. It was following kind of the Halo Top trends, right? So the Utah-based company, very different area of the country. But you had Van Leeuwen, very famously a New York brand, followed by Ben, and I forgot his co-founder's name, but they're delightful.
I will say now, if you see a big number like that, it's 99% of the time now protein.
It's
like,
true.
You know what I mean? But that's super interesting.
This is an old wave here. Again, we're going back 5 years here, low carb, keto, all that good stuff. So what's really interesting too is Van Leeuwen, when they made that claim, actually said that basically it's the exact same thing, except they put the carbs there. So you spotted the only difference they admitted to between Van Leeuwen and Rebel. But beyond that, they were saying that the font is extremely similar. The color pattern is really extremely similar. And I think the big thing too, and this is a big lesson for any company, it's not just about how similar you look. The proof is in the pudding, and the pudding is the design. The case ended up being pretty, I mean, obviously took time, but open and shut that, Van Leeuwen was coming to market very prominently in 2016, growing a lot. They were in a lot of accounts, and even when Rebel was about to hit their first market, which I believe was Wegmans at a national time, they were literally told by the buyer, like, hey, you look like Van Leeuwen. Yeah. And they were like, okay, well, roll with it. And something that's really interesting, that 23.8 million number, where do you think it comes from? Like, how do you think a court would calculate?
I think a court probably calculated on potential losses that you could have made, like revenue, basically, that they lost out on versus like that Rebel kind of took away from them. So it's like they could have had X amount of sales in like Wegmans, Target, Whole Foods. Like, I don't know which accounts they're in exactly, but Rebel was like the direct cause of them not achieving those numbers.
Yeah. So what's actually interesting is it's not about the harm to your company. It depends on the court too. The actual issue in this one, which is pretty crazy, is you take the whole value of the affected, they're calling it the affected pints in this case, right? So spoiler alert, Rebel just lost. That's why you're seeing all the info on the screen right now. But they made, apparently, according to these affected pites, about $35 million.
Yeah.
So the difference in what was decided by the judge is reducing that down by a third because of those better for you claims, these sort of like keto elements and stuff, saying, hey, you know, Van Leeuwen necessarily wouldn't have taken that market share. But it's basically saying that, you know, Rebel illegitimately gained 2/3 of their revenue there.
Yeah.
Which unless they're running some absolutely insane profit margin, like they went in the red essentially for all the accounts they sold in that whole period.
I mean, the real question too is, are they kind of cooked right now? Are they done? Are they finished? I mean, I don't know if they can recover from that. I don't know if their you know, financial situation personally. I don't think anyone probably does unless you're close to the.
Well, I mean, they did $35 million on the affected pines, so
yeah.
You know, the numbers speak for themselves. They were sitting there around $12 million over the course of 5 years.
The other major thing is that it's not as easy to, as even if they have enough money to just pay out that money, they actually have to do a whole rebrand. And even the product itself has to kind of be rebranded, because before it was like a low carb ice cream. It's kind of hard to I don't know. It's kind of hard to like push out that product even with a rebrand, I would say, at this point, after getting kind of like penalized for. I guess the product could still stand on its own, but
and again, I think the thing that's really interesting, and we might be seeing more cases like this, especially as more of the yassified, the Gen Z trends are really going forward. But you're really seeing, I think, just this long history that Van Leeuwen had clear documentation from when it was designed. Their design house had these crazy records that were submitted to court. They had their head designer testify.
Wow.
And then Rebel, so not only were they told about it, the court was basically like, look, you rip them the fuck off. Like, that's the reality of it.
Yeah.
But on top of that, Van Leeuwen actually went to a Publix, an account they were courting Publix, trying to enter there, and they were actually rejected.
Yeah, that's
because
insane.
They look like Rebel, which is a case of like the reverse situation, which is crazy that, you know, you're the OG and they're like, oh, we think people might think you're this, and we don't want people being upset that you're not keto and everything.
Yeah, that's insane that you're the OG, but you're not getting the credit. And I mean, even in a lot of industries, sometimes the second companies that are to market, they can sometimes capture a lot of that share. But I guess it's good, obviously, that this first company that kind of, you know, I'm a fan of Van Leeuwen. I'm in New York City. You're in New York City. We're fans. It's like a company that seems like I don't know, at least deserve to be respected, right? Of like not like ripped off. I don't know too much about Rebel, but
But I mean, it's an interesting point you bring too about the second market lead, because I think the most two famous examples that are well known is Hydrox.
Yeah, and Oreos.
And Oreos, obviously. Hydrox was, you know, the founding company in the space of sandwich cookies.
Yeah, most people don't know what Hydrox is.
Absolutely got destroyed. Similarly, Red Vines and Twizzlers.
True.
Red Vines were the OG. I mean, and you know, some could make an argument Coke and Pepsi. I'm a big fan of both companies. I'm not taking opinion.
No, that's true. I think too, like there's a lot of people that even think Red Vine and Twizzlers are the same company. Yeah. Like, honestly. Yeah. So I don't know. Anyways, that was super interesting, but let's hop into some other stuff, right?
Okay. Well, I think a big one, you got to shout out to our Spanish homies out there. It was, I have to say, Jack, you had some hot takes on the game. I don't fully agree. I kind of fully agree. Yeah. So yeah, what did you think of the game?
I thought, honestly, it was a bit of a letdown, kind of a bit boring. And I'm a big fan of like FIFA, World Cup, and other soccer games. They were really great. Like Norway playing like England, that was really exciting. Obviously, the previous game, like France versus England in the consular bracket, those were super exciting. This game, it was, you know, the pinnacle, but not a lot happened. And I think a lot of people were kind of sad on the performance on like Argentina. I don't know. People would rather see like a really good game where it's like lots of back and forth and like lots of high scoring goals, not just like one team kind of whittle away a little bit. So
yeah, I will.
Shout out to the goalie.
Yeah, what a goat, seriously. And the Messi just put his team out. Everyone else just like gang wrecked. Yeah. We were honestly trying to figure out when we were talking about this before how we can tie in CPG, and I think I actually came up with a solution here. Right?
Oh yeah.
And it's not just Coke. Everyone wants to go, oh, Coke, these national campaigns.
Yeah, Coca-Cola to be clear, not the...
obviously. Who knows what they're doing in the Miami games?
Yeah,
yeah. I think something that's really interesting, actually, we were having lunch with one of our friends, Jacob, who does some stuff in influencing and everything, talking about investment portfolio and ideas. And I think when we were talking about, he was like, oh, I'm very bullish on sports. And I'm like, yeah, I'm bullish on sports and food. And he was like laughing in the middle of our convo. And he was like, damn, this is just like bread and circuses.
Yeah. And like throwback.
Yeah, throwback to Rome. For those who don't know at home, in the days of the Colosseum, there would be these huge gladiatorial fights, and there would actually be free bread rations that were given out to, the citizenry of Rome.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really interesting that throughout history there is kind of this thing, but more now than ever with AI, with this sort of like hyper concentration of wealth and the whole K-shaped thing we've talked plenty about,
Mm-hmm.
that we are kind of reverting even more than ever into hyper sports fascination.
Mm-hmm.
You have the F1 elements. You have obviously the biggest World Cup in history going on.
Yeah.
You had Nixon 5 where the whole city came alive.
Yeah. There's so many factors. I think media is a huge factor too. There's so much more distribution now because like the viral clips will pull a lot of people into watching stuff. But it's like so true. Everyone wants to be in person experiencing the things, and a lot of people love eating, right? So.
Yeah, and it's, so much about food culture too. We see it every day in New York. We have hundreds of founder friends in the city, and people literally will come up to all sorts of our friends, no matter how small the company is, being like, "Oh my God, I've seen you on Instagram. Like, I love your stories." Or like, hundreds of people will come out to see some new thing. Ben Stiller samples in Whole Foods, the whole place goes ballistic.
Yeah.
And it's just really cool to see sort of this intersect. And maybe it's scary in other parts of society, but we're kind of getting to see the substance and this intersect of food and sport and identity that's coming out in the post-COVID world, I think, too.
Yeah. No, that was it's all wrapped up together nicely. Like I agree. But yeah, let's talk about Buffs real quick. So
okay,
shout out the homies.
Is a sick one.
We know them. They're really cool, and they have basically like a Cheeto that they puffed up, and it's made out of like beef. So it's a lot cleaner, healthier. It's very tasty, but they raised 1.1 million, which is pretty nuts because they're not like pre-launched because they sell online, but they haven't really like fully launched too, right?
So they did a run, if I'm not
mistaken.
Ahead of launch.
Yeah.
So they did I think they pre-sold 2,000 units. They're working on delivering those now and scaling up. And then they're planning on launching properly in August now. So coming right up, raised, I think, 1.1.
Well, yeah, I feel like the main headline here too is it was a very big amount raised. Like we were in a lot of founder group chats, and everyone was applauding them, but was also like, whoa, like how they like raise such a high amount. It's not like the craziest amount. Like we've seen like a lot of higher ones, honestly, on CPG. But usually there's some other factor where it's like, oh, like they had an industry tie, or it's like an ex-CEO starting a company, or like they have a celebrity or something else. But yeah, is this like the new norm for like pre-seed companies, or is it on the higher side? Like, what do you think?
Well, I think one thing that's making a lot of people very bullish, obviously it's a great founder set, like they all three pair really well together. But I think the content engine behind it, they really do have an understanding. Once the product's on market, people are very bullish. Actually, Ralph, you want to pull them up?
Yeah, we could pull up
we can pull up one of their ones. I think they've really gotten a good sense of the cultural zeitgeist and leaning into this kind of like, it's like a bro-y-ish, but like chill and like fun, kind of hectic type that just goes crazy for clicks, and also really building community. They're at 30K followers now. About.
No, it's true. They and one other company we're going to talk about, like, we mentioned it in the intro, is Final Boss Sours, but it's interesting because Final Boss is a lot bigger. They've been in market for like a lot longer, and they're, I think, one of the top selling companies actually on TikTok Shop. They did over like several $1 million. I
think they're top selling sour company on TikTok
but
Shop.
They only raised, I say only, it's a very large amount still, but like $4 million. But it's interesting just seeing that, because I feel like they had the opportunity if they wanted to. I'm not sure. They're like, I'm a big fan too. We're fans of like London and all of them, but to raise more, it seemed like, if they wanted to. So I guess like they just maybe didn't want to give up as much equity, and like they're being strategic. But they also got investment from Mondelez. We'll talk about them. Angel Group. Some other big VCs.
Right?
Evolution.
And what's really interesting too with them is that they were Science Inc. So one of the co-founders is, I think, one of the LPs with Science Inc. I forgot, or he's been around it a lot. He was on the founding team with Liquid Death. So they have this formula cracked. They've executed perfectly well, and they position this in all the headlines I've seen as a strategic raise rather than a intro raise, right? So they're just trying to secure up a few different elements rather than really just raise a crazy amount of capital.
I think they've raised actually before. This is not their. That's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Well, I'm saying it's a strategic raise though, so it's at a different stage of company, obviously.
I mean, strategic, I guess, what do you mean by strategic? Are you just saying that because it's like Mondelez is a strategic partner? Or you mean like the raise itself, there was like strategy behind how much they raised? I guess.
Yeah, like I think they raised a much smaller amount than they could have.
I agree.
Because they're just trying to cover a few different things. And I think they're like getting such extremely explosive growth. that it's worth waiting it out sometimes if you just need the capital now.
Yeah.
Do a little raise, get some great people on the cap table. I mean, it's a really strong pairing there.
Yeah.
We actually had the Mondelez event too, I think. Did we mention that before or no?
Which part?
No,
I mentioned we were Mondelez event.
Yeah. Had a really insightful conversations. Very bullish on that team.
Yeah. So there was like this event that Mondelez, they own Oreos, they own Ritz crackers, a lot of your favorites. They own even I think Tate's cookies.
Yeah.
They talked to us about big industry trends, and there was a lot we learned. And there's a lot of interesting headlines. A lot of people they said might be living by themselves in a couple of years, like the average family household. And I don't know, people want like either comfort or they want stuff too that is like they know is like good for them, like safety too, kind of wrapped up into that. There's a lot of different feelings and emotions, but
what's really interesting too is I think Mondelez is one of the companies that has really bought in fully to this idea that you don't necessarily build every company in a lab within your your portfolio. You kind of outsource some of these elements of innovation, trial and error. I mean, obviously it's across the board. That's practically how independent CPG functions right now. With like the VC raise and everything. It's really interesting how their view is very strategic and long term, right?
Yeah.
I think everyone we talk to tends to have this mindset, especially on the founder side, on the early supplier sides, early stage VC, that like your whole goal, and they mentioned this during the thing, they were with Jake with Great Circle Ventures, that like their company life cycle ends when the company is sold to the strategic.
Yeah.
For the strategic though, they're thinking 10, 20, 30,
it
100
just
years
began.
down the line. It's just the beginning.
The race started, yeah.
And I think that's why you've seen Mondelez especially take some really aggressive plays on that front.
Yeah, I think I read something that they made like 40 billion in rev this year or something crazy like that. So that's pretty nuts.
They're making some good money there, yeah.
But yeah, they definitely like are long-term thinking, and I think that that's really interesting because a lot of founders we're meeting, like especially even in our cohort, are very like tech forward, tech thinking, including ourselves. But like a lot of tech startups, it's very raise fast and grow it really fast. I think the timelines are getting faster because Grun's proved it. Yeah. You can do it in a faster time with social media, with AI to like help, I don't know, optimize all this stuff. And then like faster distribution. But it's interesting because you got to be like the founder mindset of wanting to build very fast. Whereas like a lot of these companies, you gain value long-term. I mean, but almost anything, even an investment in the stock market, like compounding is the eighth wonder of the world, they say. So you really see a lot of that value on the tail end, not like upfront. But
yeah, and I think something that's really interesting to see too is like if you look at a company like Gruns, for example, and obviously a massive exit, we covered 1.2 billion in 3.5 years.
Yeah,
they do fit into several trends. Obviously, health conscious, more gummy growth, subscriptions, consumers, all those trends line up for it. But the fundamental of the product is giving people like a deep rooted sense of I'm making myself healthier, right? And I think when you strip away these trends, one thing I was really impressed by, and I think Mondelez did a really good job of, is pulling back. Oh, sure, trends are happening. Trends always happen. A lot, as we're finding out, are all happening at the same time now. But there's a very big difference between demographic and fundamental need shifts, which are much fewer and far between, and then sort of whatever social trend is existing. And I think they're really positioned in a way that they're eager, a lot of these strategic companies, for people who can touch on trends across the board, but aren't just a trend in the product itself.
And not a short-lived trend, right? Like a longer-term trend, I guess, which is not as much a trend. But like, I totally agree. I mean, let's talk about IM8 too, because that was crazy. They raised or like I think it was $1 billion, but I think it was a non-dilutive funding, so it was like in debt. I think we have like a graphic. I don't know if it says in there, but it's kind of crazy because I still feel like that's very bullish to raise such a large amount of money. I think they were doing like crazy. Yeah, it says here non-dilutive.
I mean, like they're the fastest supplement company on the market.
Yeah,
they're doing collabs everywhere. They did one with Equinox Earth Bar. They did a bunch of acai places, bunch of smoothie bars, all that. Like they, David Beckham is very heavily involved, along with a ton of other celebrities.
Our friend Jonathan Dieter, he does a lot of media and podcast stuff in the CPG space, and he actually did like a breakdown too on IM8, I remember a while ago, and he said that basically they partnered a company that's has a very big science background and is very legit, that makes the supplements, and then they partnered them with a lot of celebrities. So not, I think, just David Beckham, but some other
it's a whole
celebrities
celebrity
too.
concert.
Like like you were saying. Also, unrelated but kind of related. General Catalyst lent them the money. We've actually played pickleball in that office, like one of their offices.
Oh yeah, we did. Or paddle, right?
Yeah, like paddleball or something like that.
Well, paddle.
But it's not in
just
their
paddle.
office. It's in the office building.
Anyways, it's just paddle.
Shout out.
Just paddle, not paddleball.
Paddle.
Shout out.
Oh no, wait, that was pickleball. The paddleball was a different place. Yeah.
Oh wait, you're right. Yeah.
Pickleball is
too many things.
Yeah.
To those around the city, let us know if you have a tournament. We will gratefully lose.
Yeah, but that was pretty crazy because it's just a huge swing and bet. Like even though there are, I think we're tracking like already doing crazy. Like what was it, 100 mil already or
100 mil? Yeah, and it was rapidly growing. I think going well beyond that now.
It just still seems like pretty big, honestly, for like a supplement or something like that.
Yeah,
but,
I mean, it's just the rituals. Actually, funny enough,
I guess like Thorn, right? Or there was that other one that was like trying to sell for $4 billion.
Yeah. And then another one that's absolutely crushing it, Marsman.
Yeah.
I actually just ordered one because I'm curious. We're trying to build our e-com stuff and everything. They also hit over 100 mil. Like it seems like the subspace, they're more of a pill.
And I mean, Grunes just sold. We just talked about them a bunch, but
I mean, the list goes on and on between like gummy ones. AG1 obviously has been huge. They're just so many. There's so many sleep gummies now, melatonin, like the list is endless. And I think the question is, are consumers just constantly going to be here? Obviously, Flintstone gummies existed long before. Calm gummies have existed for forever.
Yeah.
But consumers' interest and willingness to invest in it seems more science-backed now than holistic. But how long is it going to go on?
Yeah. What I think is happening, and I have a question, but I'm sure I could answer this by like Googling, is that in the past, old parents and boomers used to buy a lot of supplements. If you went to your parents' house, your grandparents, you open up the cabinet, they have a lot of these like bottles of, but it wasn't branded. It was just like random like vitamin D, and they're like, oh, I take it so I can, like feel better, whatever. But now it's moving towards a lot of young people. More young people are like taking, I would say, if you looked at the data, I'm sure there's still old people, but looking at Grunes, AG1, it's a lot of younger people starting to take these supplements because they're branded and cool, and they're like on social media, so it's advertised to these people. But my question is, are they growing the overall market? I'm sure they are, but it is interesting to see like that market share, like how it breaks down, like at what percent they're taking from old people switching over from those like ones that are not branded, you could get at like a CVS, to like these branded things like a Marsman or whatever.
Yeah, honestly, I actually would push back pretty hard on that one. I think a much bigger trend, and one we actually talked about at the Mondelez thing with the speaker, is that the American consumer as a whole is just getting older. We're becoming a much more beehive society rather than the traditional view that, like you had a strong base of young people and it just shrunk, pretty significantly over time in a funnel sort of or volcano appearance. Whereas now it's much more beehive structured.
Yeah, that's
so you have
true
a much broader population with a much older population on top of that, and the concentration of wealth. Again, we talk about the K-shaped economy, but even in age, the drastic difference between the power that baby boomers have held when they were not only the majority as younger audiences, but now as they've grown up, they've concentrated more and more wealth, with now people struggling to like even deal with their summer vacation homes because people have like 4 or 5 homes.
I mean, that sounds like a good problem to have if you have.
Well, it's a good problem for them.
5 homes, for them.
Yeah, I just saw an article that apparently there's issue because there aren't enough people to manage like summer vacation homes for people who have so many houses.
That's insane.
Across like the baby boomer generation. But like our friend Erin too with Goldilocks said that she realized.
I know. I was gonna mention her.
Actually, wait. Yeah, tell this part of the story. I think this is so cool.
Well, I don't know exactly what part you're gonna say, but she was just saying her parents they eat a lot of the Grunes because they didn't like to used to eat take other supplements.
Well, she was saying she didn't get it right, and then she brought some home because for those at home, she went to not law school. She went to business school at Stanford GSB, same place Chad did at the same time. Who's the founder of Grunes. She brought some home to her parents, and then her parents were like, "What the hell is this?" And like her dad didn't like it at all at first, and then she like came back home afterwards. And she was like, "Oh, where's all the Grunes?" And they're like, "Oh, we eat it every day now. Like we finished them all." And she was like, "Oh, this is gonna be huge."
Yeah. No, it's true. I mean, I do agree that the population is growing older. I just wonder what percent of those sales in these companies is old people. Like I know that story, it is featuring like an older person consuming the product. But I wonder like online how much are like what's the breakdown? Is it 20%, 40%, like 60%? That are older than 50 years old, I would say.
I mean, we wanna look.
Yeah, maybe we can look up. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know what should you search? Is it what? Because I'm curious about new companies. I guess like maybe type in like Grunes, like what percent of Grunes buyers are older than 50? I don't know what will show up, but
yeah, but it is something interesting too. What definitely seems to be happening? Yeah, so Grunes apparently primarily appeals to millennials, according to Google Gemini, very reliable AI.
Okay, Gemini is not
Gen
the most
X,
reliable.
who represent the vast majority of D2C and retail supplement buyers. As a rapidly growing brand acquired by Unilever for $1.2 billion, Grunes bridges the gap between convenience-minded younger adults and parents seeking a daily multivitamin.
Yeah, I mean, it's parents. Yeah, and what's interesting, I'm sure there is parents. I'm just sure what percent. It's also interesting because they could buy Grunes and hold it for 30 to 40 years, as we're just talking about, and those people could be like 20 years now. In 30 years, they're 50. So it is like could be an evergreen customer that they keep kind of hold of for a long time. Some of these people. They're saying stuff about GLP-1.
I don't want to lie to our loyal viewers at home. If you can pull up the buffs thing still, that'd be dope.
Yeah,
GLP-1. I mean, that's another huge trend that was talked about too at the Mondelez event. It really is now going to affect 30% of American households by 2030 alone. And again,
GLP-1s are crazy.
Yeah, we're really seeing so much change happen so rapidly. It's not just on the social side; it's on the broader social construction of society. Whether it be these aging things, more people in their independent homes, increase in snack culture, GLP-1s.
Yeah,
like I think it's a very exciting time for CPG. And it's really easy to see a lot of these trends sort of like intersecting and swelling as a volcano.
Yeah. And
I think we're seeing that the brands who do that, barring they don't screw themselves over on trade dress issues, can really recognize how these trends play well together.
Yeah.
I think it was the Insta one.
Oh,
video. Yeah.
No, I agree. I mean, it's a hot topic. We've obviously even covered it on the podcast. I remember even with some other people. I remember I mentioned it to Larry and some other, because like Hollywood Diet, which I guess he was like, oh, it's not, not as related or anything like that. But like peptides are huge too. And I get like, I remember kind of mentioning like along the lines of like, oh, like what, peptides, they're kind of acronyms sometimes at this point. They're very different products, obviously. But like sometimes in conversation, it feels like they're being an acronym like thrown around where it's like peptides, GLP-1. It's like, I don't know which is which. Some people are talking about a peptide. Peptides are more like off market, so it's usually harder to get. And I would assume.
Let's see. Let's see which one. Scroll down a tiny bit. Let it cook.
It's the one on the left, right? The left side in the middle.
There are a lot of good ones.
That one? Isn't that the one?
No, that one's funny though. Let's do that one. Yeah. What if? There we go. Middle one. There you go. Let it cook. There we go. Good stuff. Wait, turn the volume on. Sounds good. No, it's me. You gotta.
I think on the video itself. Yeah.
There you go. Wait, can you restart it too? Let's take it from the top for everyone at home.
Steak crunch like this. We have one impossible mission: turn steak into a Cheeto. This didn't work, and we thought it was all over until I just bought a $15,000 donut maker.
All right, that was good enough. It's a sick video though. Yeah, I mean, they're just good lads, they're having fun with it, but they're also very smart and savvy in terms of touching on these different social trends, strong ASMR appeal, strong like curiosity appeal that they do across their content. They do a lot of fun stuff too. They gave steaks to homeless people.
Wait, we have to cover how legendary USC is as a funnel for CPG founders.
Because we might have to do an episode on this and bring one on here. Yeah.
Let's cover it real quick, and then we can do a deeper dive maybe in another episode. So USC, it's in California and LA.
University of Southern California.
Yeah, a lot of people know it.
Two good schools there. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, they're in UCLA. Those are the main two in like LA. And then. Yeah, so like so many founders from the CPG space and the new wave of founders especially are coming from USC. We have like Good Girl Snacks. We have Ecstasy with his Zafon. We have obviously the Buffs guys. We have Laurels, which
Isabel.
is Isabel. And then there's like we just met Zach's Sweet Shop.
Oh yeah.
And
Zach
then
went there.
Also Impeccable Chicken.
Yeah. Melina and Nick went there too.
Was on Shark Tank, a huge D2C company cranking. And there's probably even more. But one thing that's crazy too is a lot of overlap of those USC people. I think a lot of them were like McKinsey consultants, right?
There were quite a few.
Quite a few. I don't know. Like at least in CPG in general.
McKinsey's big in CPG these days. And it's also a broader trend too that I think you were seeing more historically. Like a lot of the trends that were emerging from the original Naturally cohort back in Boulder came from the more natural space, right? These are a lot of like hippies who are like Justin. We were listening to How I Built This with Guy Raz.
Yeah.
And we actually met Justin at one or two of the events.
Yeah, he's super
he knew
nice.
Your cousins,
he's like
from when they had their company in Boulder too.
Yeah.
And he's like on the thing. He's like, man, I was just I like peanut butter. I was just grinding some honey in there.
He's a good guy.
Mix it up. And to now have all these people who come from much more like quant-based backgrounds or more finance backgrounds, more tech, more consulting backgrounds, legal, good balance.
Well, it's interesting. CPG is such a mixing pot because I know like most industries probably are too, but like there's a lot of tech and finance and like these other people that wanted to get away from the desk job. But there is like really cool people too that like actually maybe didn't like go to college or something like that.
Yeah. There's a lot of opportunity. I think we have a 17-year-old founder now, Sean, with Goldie.
Yeah.
He's not, but he'll go to college.
I don't even mean, I think he's going to go to college, but I think there might have been people too that like didn't maybe like have the opportunity to or something like that. Like their family was just like making stuff and like that one too, it's usually, it is a capital intensive industry. So it's very hard if like you don't have money off the start, but sometimes they like maybe had a restaurant or whatever. There's like different stories like that too, I think. USC is like legendary school. If you want to make a CPG company, maybe I would go there. Maybe Sean should go there.
I'd say it seems like the best path right now, and for if you're gonna be there, is you go to USC for undergrad, and then you move to New York. You just start your social content here on top of the world, baby.
Yeah, for people that don't know, like let's talk a little, very very quick about New York City.
I think people have heard too much on it, but let's go ahead anyways. I love the city.
There's just like there was a report. I remember like an official report, and it said the #1 place right now for CPG is New York City. But unrelated, just like from our own experience, it really does feel like the top place. There's like so many founders, including ourselves.
I mean, literally hundreds of founders out here.
And there's so many events. Many and obviously it's a major area for, I think, like finance is #1, and then you have like tech is probably #2 in the country here. So it has a lot of these other industries. So it is kind of natural that it would be like #1 or 2 or 3. And New York is having a resurgence with like the Knicks and everything. But
okay, so
I don't know.
Go. We got one last thing for the show before we wrap up, and a little combo around it. All right, Jack, I'll let you do the pleasures.
Boom.
So for those who don't know at home, this is our 7th time doing it, where we open up a surprise snack. I chose it this time. We're gonna see what Jack thinks it might be.
Let's go.
Oh yeah, there you go. You got it.
Oh, the Olipop.
What is it? Olipop.
Wait, I actually I forgot what we put in here. I kind of saw him put it in, and I literally forgot. So
but you're not supposed to see. That's the whole rule. Come on,
I know. Okay. I was like, I honestly forgot though. I was like, what is it again?
Okay. So not only do we have Olipop, we have Olipop's new rebrand. Olipop did a big play that's been really interesting to see a lot of these soda companies go for.
Yeah.
It went for a bit more of a traditional view, right? They moved away from the natural elements of it. A lot of their stuff targeting it is much less call-outs in terms of like the performative elements of it, and much more of it being a soda.
Yeah,
so,
what's interesting?
Let's give it a sip.
What's really interesting is it actually does. It looks pretty similar to the other one, but it also looks kind of like AI-y, like a little bit, which I was surprised that they kind of like went in that direction because
it's the image. The image.
Looks the image in
softer,
the middle,
more cartoonish.
Yeah. So I thought that was really interesting because a lot of companies I felt like were kind of leaning away from that. I'm a fan, obviously. Olipop's like one of the goats, and I'm excited to try. One last thing is it is interesting. There are rumors about them trying to sell, and then like we're not sure what happened with that.
They were talking to some strategic like Coke, Red Bull, a couple others, and then they said that they were going to raise an extra 200 in capital. Yeah, the little ASMR, little tap on there. Nice.
I'm holding it up to the camera so we can see.
There we go. Good stuff.
Yeah, it's delicious.
Let me get this up.
Yeah,
here.
So there's like great videos, and there
we go,
about them on like I think like CNBC or these other places, but on YouTube. But they were saying they had like I think like microbiology or something like or chemistry background, and then they like discovered this thing. I don't know the name of it, but it's like algae probably.
Yeah, I think so. The guy we don't.
That's all.
I think we need to do our research and re-listen to the guy Raz and everything. But he did a probiotic beverage first, and then had an NDA and a agreement that he couldn't be in the space. And then he basically discovered prebiotic stuff, and they were the first to enter the market. Poppi obviously came in, swept up with a storm, converting over from other beverage with Kavu and everything.
Yeah.
But Olipop, I think, across a lot of metrics has been bigger. But now that Pepsi has Poppi, the heat's kind of on because that distribution network is just otherworldly.
The time is ticking, basically, right? So we have to see, are they going to sell? Are they going to try and take on one of the largest companies in the world? Like Pepsi is one of the largest companies in the world. You know,
Pepsi, Coke, and Dr. Pepper Keurig, which is also doing some big moves with a C4 IPO too.
Yeah, so
they're facing a lot of heat.
It'll be interesting to see if they try and compete and they want to stay in the game because it's very, very, very hard. I think there's only been like 1 or 2 successful companies, and there's like Chobani. I think it was like one that was kind of like started recently and kind of more bootstrapped. I obviously raised money eventually, so it wasn't fully bootstrapped.
Yeah, I mean that's one thing. Like it's easy, I think, as founders to talk the talk and being, oh, we're a company who can be around 20, 30, 40 years, 50, 100.
Yeah.
But for you to become so sized and so large that people can't really acquire you, then you have to really decide, are you going to be a strategic, or are you just going to build up your empire as much as you can and just watch it kind of collapse? Yeah. So Chobani
hopefully it doesn't collapse. Hopefully it can like thrive.
Well, no, I'm saying, but see if it does that.
Yeah.
Because I mean, Chobani is like the only one I know really.
That's what I was saying. It was like 1 or 2. There's and even them, they had a scare I think recently about going bankrupt, and then now they're kind of like chilling.
I mean, that was like a decade ago now.
Yeah.
When they expanded out west with their second factory.
Yeah, and raised a lot more money, but I mean, shout out to them.
No, Olipop's sick though. I'm excited to see what they do in that space.
Yeah.
But this has been episode 7. We'll catch you guys on the next one.